Yeah.
Call the meeting to order. First item is approval of the agenda. We do need one amendment. Need to remove the MIH resolution from under new business. That is not ready to be acted. For that, entertain a motion. Approve the agenda as amended.
Move to approve the agenda as amended. Second.
Been moved and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item is a consent agenda. Any motion on that?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Is there anybody here who'd like to speak to something that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move to special reports, presentations. Gentlemen?
Thank you. Be as brief as I can. Unless you have a lot to say. None, so I'll do it from memory. So I'm Bert Peterson, this is Mike Burns. We own some property here at Ames and 56 Highway. Essentially, it's a city block in two directions. Those maps fold out if it makes it easier for you, so you can see the whole. Kind of weird, they fold out from the back. It'll give you an idea. What we are proposing is to follow your housing study. One of the needs that it talked about was the lack of apartment housing for City of Baldwin. Our intent is to fill that need with 24 units. That's a nice mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units, 2-story. If you turn to the next fold out map, now that you just barely got that one open, it will show you floor plans, and on the back side, once you have it folded out, we'll show you the perspective of the building as constructed from the front and primary elevations. So the intent is to utilize the off-highway, non-commercial space for 2 apartment buildings and then preserve the commercial opportunities out on 56 Highway for future development, despite the fact that my architect drew in pharmacy and some fast food restaurant. Those were just to fill space. We have no plans for the commercial at this time unless somebody comes forward.
Can I request Asian when you do put it?
You can? So while you're reviewing the plans, and I'm happy to ask any questions at any time, what we intend to go for is the MIH, which is Median Income Household Grant Program, which is funded by the state of Kansas. There is behind the blue sheet that is the 2-page flyer from the Department of Housing Resources Corporation on MIH, which talks about it being a self-funded, which means from your state tax dollars, not your local tax dollars, program. It is a grant. You can ask for up to $650,000. I believe Baldwin City has done a few of these in the past. Anybody has any questions about the MIH program, I'm happy to do my best.
Any green space?
Green space, well, if you look behind the buildings, we tried to preserve as much yard as we could we assume there will be some families in the 2-bedroom spaces. That is as close to scale as we could get without our survey. There's quite a bit because of the way the highway, we were involved in the highway improvement project, which hasn't happened yet, to straighten out Ames. I don't know if Ames is a boulevard or a street, but Ames Street is supposed to cut the corner of that off. And if you look really close at the Google Earth drawing, there's a dotted line that kind of shows that highway, what they're going to do or at some point in the future. And technically, we don't own that land where the dotted lines kind of straighten out Ames Road there, which is why what would that be, the south retail space is kind of strange looking on that spot. It's not square after the highway department does their job.
Some of you, I don't know if you all were here, but we worked with the city on that when the state came and needed that corner from us, which, we weren't completely happy because it took away some of our commercial space on the front. But it all worked out pretty well. So we don't know when the state, maybe you all have heard, but we haven't heard anything when the state plans to straighten that out. So we're hoping, well, we hope that happens here fairly quickly, but that's not going to impede our project either way, though.
No. The apartment project would be far enough off the highway, it shouldn't be impacted by their work.
And just for reference for the council, MIH is the same program that we did, Baldwin did in 2015 when they got $200,000 for down payment assistance. It's also the same project that we applied for and received when we did the things to homeowners' houses.
Yeah, MIH can be used for sale or for rent. It can be used for down payment assistance, sticks and bricks. It's a grant, and it's fairly unrestricted. It's a very, very, very competitive field right now in the state of Kansas. I believe each of the 3 applications in the last 12 months have gotten exceedingly more competitive as time flies because there's a housing crisis throughout our state. And with interest rates and cost of land, sticks, bricks, and labor, you need a little assistance to make it work. And that's the point of the project, and that's what we intend to use it for. What we would need from the city, essentially, we will perform all functions and not ask for any city staff time. I know you guys are busy. Essentially, all we need is a resolution of support, which I have an example I can send you. I accidentally printed it on very large paper. But I do have it with me if you want to see it. And it basically resolves that you support you're aware of our project and you support what we're doing within your city limits. And it's really that simple. Because the MIH program application is technically the city applying for the grant on our behalf. We're the beneficiary, you're the applicant.
Any questions from council?
So these are apartments. Have you decided any rent on any of them?
We're trying to target market rent. This is MIH, so you have limits on incomes of who can live there. So it's 150% of median and above poverty. So yeah, we're 11, 12, 13. I haven't got all my costs in yet, but in the 11 to 1300 range for the 2 bedrooms and around 800-900 for the ones.
Is this they don't have to be talking about it, but anyway.
They will.
Is this a project that would ever be taken over by HUD or something like that?
No, not at all.
It couldn't be.
And Jerry, that's a good question, because when you hear the median income and that's always a first reaction. But no, that's not eligible for HUD. It'll have nothing to do with that.
No federal.
No, this is
No.
not. This is a state program.
And actually, if you looked at 150%, people can be making fairly good money to be in these units.
So there is a chart on the MIH, and I
Mhm.
apologize I didn't bring this, but there is a chart by county that talks about the accepted median income and obviously gives you the 150% and the lower figure. It's based on number of people in your family, but if you had a family of 3 with one income, they could make about $150,000 in Baldwin.
So it's still,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fair living.
Yeah, 3 adults.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and it goes higher with the more people you have in
I
your
got no
family.
problem, I'm just curious.
Yeah. The state program,
You know, step into something that 15 years down the road.
Yeah.
We get hit in the face and say, well,
Yeah.
there's federal money in here, we're gonna turn this over to them.
no.
It's privately owned,
Yeah.
not government owned.
Yeah, with this grant, once we receive the money for the project, we have to comply with MIH income levels for 15 years, but it's still privately owned, privately operated. If we don't, like if they catch us with multimillionaires living in there for some reason, they would fine us for that.
the other interesting part of that is they qualify when they first move in, but then if their income exceeds that, they don't have to leave.
Right.
So it's
Well,
really pretty forgiving, so
It shouldn't have to.
that's right. It's right. And that is a smart thing. You hate to go to them and say, hey, you've worked hard and you've made more money, now you gotta leave. But again, if you look at the limits, they
You have
can,
to expect that the way things are right now, that even somebody that moves in there would get an increase, say, in social security. Or something on a COLA on a retirement system.
Mhm.
Everybody's getting increased that way too.
Do you guys have an anticipated, scheduled construction?
Schedule of construction would be about a year from start date, and this is a really hard question to answer because when you do these programs, the biggest holdup is waiting on the state to do their paperwork. So, with all respect to those involved, once we have our paper, and we can't start until they're done. So, but our contractor gave me a 1-year schedule.
Okay. The reason I ask that is obviously we have another MIH project that has kind of held us up on
Yeah.
applying.
Yeah.
Because they haven't expended their funds. So.
Right.
we're ready to start yesterday. We've owned this property for quite a while, if you know the history of the property. And so
I think
we,
most people won't know this.
probably, everybody kind of, okay. And, so no, we're ready to start just as soon as we can.
So
You
the-
know, we've got that investment sitting there. And again, it's the paperwork with the state, but other than that, we have people ready and waiting and ready to go.
Our contractor is a company out of Manhattan, a guy named Eric Gillen. They were awarded basically this exact project in Abilene. And literally the time he will, on the last round, 2 rounds ago, I'm sorry, first round this year, he got awarded 2 buildings, just same buildings, just in Abilene. And when his crews are done there, we intend to move right here.
So,
And hopefully they'll be faster and cheaper for us because we got one done.
Getting a little late to see it start, that's it.
Yeah, it might be, but
my last question I guess I have is, so obviously the apartments will be phase 1 for you guys if you're awarded this grant. How long before you intend to build out the commercial space? Because that's obviously a big need involved.
the standard procedure with commercial is you got to find a use before you go to constructing. I mean, do you have intent to spec build commercial?
It'd be a little tough, but if you have someone to send our way, we're all ears. And we don't know, obviously, if the state would finish their part and put that road in, that would make a big difference. But we would still have to go ahead and have egress in there anyway. So if there's businesses out there, we're ready to go. We don't want to just sit on them. We've sat on this thing long enough. It's time to get something done with
It's
it.
a shovel-ready infill lot, both commercial and residential, so.
We get an inquiry pretty much at least once a month on businesses, so there's.
Good.
Send them our way.
That's
We'd
what-
love to talk
That's
to
what we want to hear. And again, they put pharmacy on there because that's what we do. We're very happy where we're at. So we don't see a real need for us to build over there and put a pharmacy there. We like where we're at. But, that's, and all that can be changed, but that whole front we want to keep for commercial. It could be one large or it could be 2 small. So we're not, just what you see there is just an options.
Yeah, real quick, I think. So there's depicted on that map an alleyway between, get my following direction straight, the west and the east halves of that. The city abandoned that in the eminent domain procedures.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
They abandoned that, and so the little weird triangle piece.
That'll be left as green space.
Yeah. So
You want to put swings in it?
swing sets? I don't know.
Well, on the highway, that might be a bit of a you're talking about out front?
I think he's talking about the apartments, right?
No, this, the green space he was talking about.
Yeah, out front.
Oh, I see.
If you look at, I don't know if you know the green space we're talking.
Jerry would like to know if you have scooter parking.
Scooter park?
Yeah. And I don't know, I mean, if school or somebody needs something for signing or
Next time,
something.
you don't want to say yes, because next time I say you need to put a fence around.
Yeah, because of the highway, but yeah, we don't know what we'll do with that.
Any other questions?
Point of tonight was to present to you guys a project, see if you guys had any questions or comments on it. And we're gonna need to come before you guys again pretty quick because the deadline is the 25th of October. to turn it in, which means we need an approval on a resolution of support.
Have you talked to any of the neighbors in this area?
Not for a while, not since we went through the eminent domain. I mean, I haven't, have you?
No, it's been quite a while.
Is it already zoned? What's it zoned currently?
I believe
Well,
the
because-
whole thing is C1.
Commercial?
Oh, it's still commercial. That's
Probably is. Yeah, so you guys have to downgrade the.
We'll have to downgrade
Yeah.
the back half.
Which would probably do pretty well.
And so I guess I'll ask a question too, because one of our concerns too is the neighborhood. You know, we want something that we're gonna be proud of. Whatever came, I know the plans with the trailer park there. Do you know where we're at on, okay, or you know,
That trailer park has actually come into compliance as far as
That's what, Casey?
it came into compliance to the.
The new fire.
Passed in 2019,
Where was it, I don't know anything about a trailer park.
across from high school.
Yeah.
Or across from the junior high.
Oh, junior, high, okay, yes.
did they take some out and open up for fire? Is that what they
Burned
did?
down.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was forced
Okay.
removal, but,
Yeah.
I
yeah,
thought, I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about something that was happening with the trailer park that was going to, where they're going to build. One more time, I got you.
so, yeah, I believe, Glenn, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think all.
I believe all those are in compliance right now.
So,
It took a while, but it was done.
Got it. Okay.
any other questions?
Okay.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you for time.
Next item, new business, safe routes to school contract. Glenn, can you brief the council on this? Thank you, guys, for coming. Thank you.
Yes, similar to this, 2 years ago, 2021, we applied for the third TA grant, Safe Routes to School grant, and we were awarded that. This is the one that is not contiguous. That's all over. I included in there the original grant application. So if there's a map in there and it shows the big one was going up, connecting High Street up 11th to the highway. And then there's some other fill in the gap ones that are around town. So that's the one that's before us now. And what we need to do is pass that resolution, and then, well, they've actually bid out the project, so they will start as soon as they can. So our role in this, and when it's a KDOT, Safe Routes to School, or TA grant, our role is to apply for it. If we get it, it's a KDOT grant. They engineer it, they bid it, they build it, and we do the cost share on the thing. That's what happens from.
And to clarify, this is a TA grant.
Yeah, it's a TA grant.
Safe Routes to School grant.
No, not in this one. The original one was across Elm Street was a Safe Routes to School that fell under that category. But this is the third. Then we have the fourth one, which would be the one that would be going south out of the depot. That's the fourth TA grant. So we got 4 in a row.
Well, this one's the one. So which one's this one?
This is the one that's the one where we fill in a lot of different gaps. 11th Street.
Second Street, Quail Street.
Yes, Quail Street, right. Yeah, that a whole bunch of them we actually threw in
Is this
there.
11th Street then also? I thought 11th Street was wrapped into that same one.
No, I think this one includes the 11th Street one.
This does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the other one's just the one going south. So
Okay.
this is the third out of the 4. So, and they always have to pass the resolution, sign it, get back to KDOT. They're ready to go with it, is what they've done. So
Any questions for Glenn?
it's hard to keep them all straight because you got 4 of these in a row. And this 2 years ago when I actually applied and actually got this. So it's hard to keep them all straight.
All right. Anybody here from the public like to speak to this agenda item? No? Council discussion? I'll entertain one.
I move to approve the resolution in support of the sidewalk gap project.
Second. Moved and seconded. Amber's calling. Who seconded it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item is the swimming pool. Rob?
So we are continuing to try and figure out how to extend the life of our swimming pool. What you have in your council packet this evening is a bid from Ashton Kate Sandblasting and Painting. These are folks, and I was kind of hoping that Matt McClure would be here tonight. He actually reached out to these folks and contacted them to come down to give us a bid on sandblasting and recoating the upper edge in the basin of our swimming pool. I'll be honest with you, I didn't actually know about this company till I met them on site. They came down in July and looked at the swimming pool. We were still using it at the time, and so the guy actually put on diving gear and went down and felt around the bottom of it. They looked at the upper edge. We got a lot of complaints this year about the upper edge, the light blue paint rubbing off on swimsuits. And what can we do? What can we try to get away from this this issue? And it's happening year after year. We also got complaints on the roughness in certain spots of the basin of the pool. Not as many complaints, but we got a few. And so we met with these folks. They came out to give us a bid a few weeks later, which is in your council packet. I reached out to Rob Lane of Preservation Pools, who we've worked with for the last 5 years. He is in the middle of a big project right now, but I did get him down here in August on a rainy day. He came down and spent probably an hour and a half at the pool looking at the same things, other than the fact it was empty this time. And so he got a really good look at it and what it was going to need. I reached out to him again last week. I still don't have Rob Lane's bid for this. I got a feeling that it's going to be significantly higher because he said multiple times this is going to be expensive to sandblast and recoat this pool. I had a lot of questions about this contract. I reached out to Ashton, and she did get back with me at about 4:30 today. And so I do feel a lot better about this now than I did a few hours ago. She answered all my questions. The main ones were, it doesn't say anything about a warranty in this contract of any kind. She told me that they give a 1-year warranty, and then the paint itself that they would use is an epoxy-based paint. It's expected to last 7 years. So she said it doesn't flake or peel, it will just start slowly fading. So about every 7 years, if we go this route, about every 7 years, we'd have to come in and do a light sandblast and a recoat, which would be far less expensive than what we're looking at here today. I asked Rob Lane when he was down in August what he thought about this type of product, just in general. I didn't mention that another contractor had recommended this, and he thought this would be a good option for the upper basin, the upper perimeter that's light blue now that's rubbing off. So both contractors have recommended that product. Rob Lane was going a different route than painting over the PebbleTec. He didn't think that was going to be such a good idea. But like I said, as of today, I don't know what his idea is or how much it's going to cost. And so this is what I have to present to you tonight. There's any number of options that we can do. We can give this a little more time and see if Mr. Lane's bid comes in, which I believe is going to be significantly higher. We could split this up into 2 different pieces. We could have Ashton Kate come in and sandblast and repaint the upper perimeter, and then decide what we want to do with the basin later on. Or we can have Ashton Kate do the whole thing as presented in this quote. I asked them if they were bonded and insured. They are. I asked them when their proposed start date was. She told me the 16th of this month they would like to get started on it. I asked how many days to complete. 7 to 8 days to complete the whole project. And the cure time on this product is 7 days. 7 days, we could fill it in 7 days. So given that information, we're not in a huge time crunch. I mean, we could actually do this next spring and still open the pool, when we normally do. So that's what I have. it's a lot of money. I know the council likes to have competing bids when we're talking about this kind of money, but unfortunately that I wasn't able to get the second bid yet. So it's kind of at the council's discretion how you'd like to move forward with this.
I don't see the bid in our packet.
No, I don't have a bid. I apologize, I must have missed
Yeah.
it.
Have you got bids?
I've got my copy. Can I just tell you? Can I just tell you what? So to do, she split this up into two pieces. To do the upper edge that's light blue now to sandblast it, and 2 coats of this Tnemic epoxy was $11,600, and to do the complete basin was $52,000. So it would be $63,600.
I thought the 52,000 when I saw it, and that was the whole.
It's
Yeah, in front of your side.
it's 2 separate bids. So she broke it down into 2 pieces because that's
62,000 is what comes out?
$63,600 to do the entire project. And I looked them up on Google. The company's been in business for 10 years. They've got 3 5-star ratings. I have no reason to believe this company wouldn't do a fantastic job for us, but I just don't know. I'm not familiar with them. Matt McClure, as I said, went out and found them and invited them down to give us a quote. And so that's how we ended up with this quote.
I have a question before we go any further. Is there anything inside the building itself that needs attention?
When Rob Lane was down, the biggest obstacle was the sand filter. And so, as I said, he's come down the last 5 years and helped us do the startup. And so we did open the sand filter while he was here. He had time. And what was in there, the top layer was a lot of PebbleTech material, which has come loose. He told us what to do to the sand filter for the next 2 years. He wants us to take 1 inch of sand out next year and 1 inch of sand out the following year. But he thought for what it was and the age, it looked pretty good.
So this is something we can attend to ourselves?
Yes, with his assistance generally. He comes in, and anytime we have to do any kind of maintenance on the sand filter, he's the company that installed the new heater for us a few years ago, 4 years ago now, which has been doing great. The chlorine is very hard on the pipes in the panels. I had the main pump rebuilt last winter, so it's probably good for a while still. So it's just stuff that we continually keep trying to do maintenance to try and stay ahead of it. And this is a big piece. I mean, this is a big piece, but we need to do something over there because the PebbleTech we're having a lot of problem with that. Ashton did say that she would like to come down and look at it again now that it's empty to make sure they didn't miss something, because there's 3 to 5 spots that are hollow that we knew were hollow before we filled it this year. We just couldn't get the patch material to cut them out and fix them. So,
So when they sandblast, will they repair all the cracks, do all that, make sure the base is in good shape before painting?
she told me that they will do that. They power wash it. They sandblast it. Heavy brush is what they call it, sandblasting, and then they do a power wash, clean all that up, and then they give it 2 coats of that Tnemic epoxy. But the hollow spots, they said they will not break them out and fix them. And I asked her about that. It's very specifically says that in the contract. And so I asked her about that. I said, so does that fall on us? And if the council approves this, we move forward, you guys are going to want to start the week of the 16th, which is also Maple Leaf Week, which we're tied up getting ready for that. And I had a heck of a time finding material to patch PebbleTech this spring. And so can we get the stuff? Can we get it in there? And that's part A. The second thing is when we do part of the work and they do part of the work, you're setting yourself up for a lot of finger pointing if something happens later on. If they're going to come in and do it, I wish they would just go ahead and patch it, sandblast it, and then recoat it so that they did the whole thing. We didn't do part of it, and they did part of it. If there's a failure, I saw at the power plant many times that the first thing everybody does is start pointing fingers at the other person.
Does that kill the warranty?
No, it doesn't at this point. They don't want to do it. Because she said, well, we don't know what we're getting into when you start breaking out the hollow spots. And I get that.
When you say hollow spots, Are you talking about the actual structure of the pool that's like,
It's the basin material that's gotten water up under and it's lifted. So you can hear it when you walk on it. It sounds hollow.
My understanding is the pool has never been sandblasted and repainted. So as they're putting layers on, and if any of that cement underneath degrades, then it's gonna become hollow, because you gotta,
but we're talking concrete work here. Talking,
Well, it's patch material, which is basically a quick set. It's Pebble Tech is a quick set with the granite material in it.
Water gets under paint and it makes a bubble. And I don't
This-
understand.
but it's eroding the concrete as well.
It is, and this is stuff that's made to actually do, if you had to do a wet patch, you can actually do it.
I don't understand it to be like you're thinking, Corey, where there's a hole underneath the cement.
It's just a hot, it's eroded the concrete under all the layers of
It's
paint.
just like you get water under paint.
It started, it's come in a crack or it's come in a seam and it's gotten up under it and then it pushes. And part of that, she said, is because we drain it every year. Said the best thing to do is leave it 3/4 full all the time, not drain it in the winter. And both contractors said the same thing. You'll have much better luck and longevity if you don't drain it. I just don't know if our insurance would allow that.
Liability, yeah.
Even though it's fenced, I don't know that our insurance would allow that. This company's out of Wamego. They do the pool for Wamego. They had several references. But I think that one sticking point about it's gonna have to be done, whether we do it or whether they do it, and we may need to work a little bit of that out, which we can do. We can do that on the side and get all that worked out between us. But it's basically just figuring out if you guys want to move forward with a single bid. Do you want to wait? Do you want to?
When do you really want to start this? When do you want to start this?
I really don't have any kind of time frame in mind.
You want to do it this month or you want to do it in the spring?
I wouldn't want to do it the same week that we're trying to set up for Maple Leaf Festival,
So
but
you're
beyond that,
talking- you're
I'm
talking
fine
about
with
spring.
whenever. They say they can do it this fall.
he's saying that his staff doesn't wanna do the repairs that they have to do.
The same,
week of Maple Leaf.
the week of the 16th, we would have to coordinate that to something else because there's no way we could get that done and set up for Maple Leaf the
So what do
same
we
week.
need, a motion for 62,000
Well,
plus?
hold on, I got one more question before we make any motions. So did we identify the hollow parts or did they identify and say you fixed them?
They found them. We knew they were there, but he found them when he put his diving suit on and he was feeling along the
Okay.
bottom and he knew what he was looking at. He knew, and they
But
said
the
in
third
there,
party has told us where they are. It's not like we go patching what we think we found.
right, he found.
Oh, there's 3 more.
He found the ones we
Okay.
did, that we cut out and did this spring. He found the ones that we did several years ago, and he found the ones that we didn't get done this year because we didn't have the material to fix them. So the guy, he knew what he was looking at. He was very professional. I have no reason to believe they wouldn't do a fantastic job. It's just, are you comfortable moving forward with one quote?
I'll be honest, I am,
Okay?
because I don't think it's gonna be any cheaper.
How many
Oh,
people do this?
I don't either. I honestly, I don't think it's gonna be any cheaper. It's just, I was a little bit worried about painting over Pebble Tech and it not working and we having a problem 3 or 4 years from now. Now we got a bigger problem. Now it's gonna cost more money. But she's assured me they have done this many times and that this will work. The 1-year warranty, that doesn't really buy us much because by the time they get it on, it will have 1 season. To be determined on the 7 years. If it lasts 7 years, that'd be great,
So I guess that brings up another question then, because in my mind, I'm thinking fall. I'm just used to cure rates, and I know they're saying 7 days, the longer time though, the better. I'm thinking, okay, if we have a year warranty, I'd rather include the first winter in that year, so that way if we have any issues through the summer months, then the winter is the oldest part of that.
Right.
And that's included in, versus we do it in the spring, now we're going through a full season, then a winter, well,
Right.
we open it back up, that next SOL. You don't
I'd like to see it.
see it done during the fall, so we have the winter. I agree.
It was like anything else. I didn't budget for this. I didn't plan to do this year. And so that'll be the next question if you decide to move forward is how do we fund it? And
So I
that's,
thought, Glenn, correct me if I'm wrong, we had $50,000 in just the pool fund. I thought that's what you told me.
Yeah, I think that's an old fund that's been there for ages. It's not
committed to anything.
Correct, but we have around 50 grants.
I believe that's correct.
There's probably 25 to 30 left in the 106, the normal operating funds for the pool. What's left over after we paid all the bills and bought all the chemicals this year? That's because we didn't have to like rebuild any pumps, or we didn't have any major catastrophes, and sand filter did fine. So I think there's at least 25 left in that. So that's part of it. It's not 63, but it's part of it.
But if we
So
have 25 in that one and 50
Yeah.
in the whole fund,
Yeah, that's
then that's 75,000.
That's gonna.
We don't have to come from somewhere else.
Right.
so whatever you guys
Just out
decide,
of
you know,
curiosity.
sure.
Not a question, just, well, kind of a question, but just out of curiosity, do you think this will solve the chlorine problem?
No, I don't. I think that is general maintenance and daily cleaning of the deep end will solve the chlorine problem.
I know we've discussed that
We did.
in one of our meetings.
I think because we saw the same algae in the deep end this year when we drained it again.
It'll be the same stuff coming back.
Um,
Because that's the way it is. But
Some of
it'll
the seams
be
that it hides
easier-
in will be
easier.
covered. And this will cover some of the porous Pebble Tech. It will smooth out the surface, but if we don't improve on the daily maintenance, I think we're gonna have the same problem. I think the daily maintenance
This'll make
of,
it easier because all the old stuff's gone, the old rough stuff's gone.
I would hope so.
Should work better, right?
I would hope so, yes.
Thanks so.
You want a motion? You wanna go for 63,000 instead of 62?
Do we know for a fact there's 50 grants sitting there? Seems like we weren't quite sure.
I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
Glenn looked at it. That's when we discussed it before bringing it. I just wanted to
Okay.
to add.
But this was discussed in committee and it was kind of talked about and that money was,
Well, we discussed it in finance.
Right.
Back to my question. 63 instead of 62?
Yeah, we're at 63,000.
63.6.
63,600. $63,600.
I make a motion that we give us 63,000 for the repair of the swimming pool.
$600.
Huh?
600. 63,600.
Okay, 63,600.
Second.
Been moved to second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thanks. Next item on the agenda is the Christmas lights contract. It's in your packet. The annual or every 3 years we have this. Glenn or Amrod, do you guys want to talk to this? Jerry, this might be Jerry's first time seeing this, but the rest of the council has seen this before. It's our same vendor that we use for all our downtown Christmas lights. They take care of all the maintenance, install, take down, storage, all that stuff, so that is what this is. And this is budgeted, right?
it is. What I'd call your attention to is when we started this, I think in 2018, the lease package back then was $16,000, almost $17,000. We've added on to it since then. That was kind of a bare bones. We started out, every other pole, if you remember, was lit up and whatever, but we, yeah, that was 18. So then we added in 19, we added a little more to it. And then of course in 20, we also added more to it, adding the police station and some other things in there. So now, as we've gone on, it's going up to a total of 30,000. So we've almost doubled. But we've added locations, you know, and just done a lot more with it. It's been well received by the public. Of course, everybody appreciates the way we light up our downtown. So, so otherwise, it's gone over my approval limit when we started out under that, but not anymore. So that's why I have to bring it to the council. We've had some proposed changes this year would be to actually move some of where the light switches are. That's been an issue with people turning on and off the lights and doing some other things. We do experience vandalism every year with the lights and some other things. It's people basically kind of stealing the lights and doing some other things with it. It's kind of a small annoyance if nothing else. But otherwise, the company's been very responsive. We don't have any problems with them at all. They've done a great job. So, but we've added more to this. That's There's no question about that. That's where we get to the number we're at.
Questions from the council?
Are we adding anything this year that, we didn't have last year?
No.
The question this year is adding on to, adding the brewery on.
Which we did that anyways.
We used to when it was, last year we did not because it was construction.
The year before we
Year
did.
before that. Yeah, when it was the antiques on the prairie, we did. But
So it's
that
just
would,
reallocating those lights to that building. Essentially.
think though that it's gonna add more to that.
Adding a beer company, is that a city cost?
It'll add more. on
Yeah, we cover all the buildings
$1,000.
downtown.
Huh?
Yeah,
We
it's
cover
not
all the
currently
buildings
included
downtown.
in pricing.
So how much would that be?
She did not. It's just, she only put it can be added, it's not currently included, I'll have to find that out. I'm sorry, I did not know that.
She's done one-offs for us before for free. When they're down here.
Is that decorating the easement or the actual building?
Putting lights on the building.
Okay.
So this will just include, this contract just includes what we currently do. Discussion?
And this, we also need to confirm the date, would start the week of the 6th, but putting it up by the 10th, it would be completed.
That's what we do.
So we still lease all of this, right? It's a yearly leasing process.
That way we don't have to store it and maintain it. They replace any bulbs, they replace any outlets that are, the connectors that go down, everything's on there.
And they're very responsive, they've been awesome when we have issues.
So what's the question here? Keep it going.
Need a motion here.
I motion to approve the 2023 Christmas decor lease package renewal.
Second.
Then moving second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is committee reports, budget and finance.
I'm trying to think if we met since the last meeting. I don't think we did.
We did not.
No. Do we need one this Friday?
I do not believe so. Scott's gone anyways.
Glenn, can you think of anything?
Not at the moment, no, for the finance.
Yeah, let's
can't
put
think of
tentatively
it.
set it for the 13th. Well, we can do the 20th.
Yeah, that'd be after.
It's usually Friday after council meeting, so, yeah, set it for October 20th, 8:40, or 7:45 AM, 74 City Hall.
We need to vote on board.
We punted our last meeting because I think we got some other stuff coming up, in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna have to schedule not an emergency meeting, but a unscheduled meeting. So we're kind of waiting till all that falls, we don't really have any agenda items, so stuff can kind of float to whenever that one comes up. Next scheduled meeting will be the 23rd, 4 o'clock, 74 City Hall.
Public safety, Susan.
We have not met. Our next meeting is scheduled for next Tuesday at 4 o'clock.
Public works and utilities, Julie.
We have not met since the last meeting either, and our next meeting will be October 12th at 9 o'clock. And, I also wanted to mention, it's not part of the public works, but you want me to wait for council comments? I just wanted to point out the 2 thank you letters that were in our packet. People from Ottawa that sent us a very nice thank you letter for helping them out during the storm that happened back in July or August, I don't remember. But anyway, I thought that was very nice of them to do that and to also agree to work together whenever we need to. The other thank you letter is from Sharon Bozeski, and she was wanting to thank the council for being able to work with getting the new quilt capital of Kansas signs at both ends of the city, the east and west entrances. So, Tom Holland helped with that way back when, and so, this week, I believe, we're gonna go out and he's gonna come down and take some pictures and kind of just let the city know that, or the citizens know that there is a quilt capital. We've had somebody on Facebook say, do we have a quilt shop? So hopefully that will bring the attention to that. And the other thing is I thought I would thank Jerry for going to Washington DC and laying the wreath at the tomb of Abraham Marshall.
So Jerry Moran, you know what challenge coins are? Got a challenge coin from Jerry Moran. I should have brought it and showed it to you. It's made like the state of Kansas, and it's very small, and how they did what they did to get all the design of the Kansas flag in it with the buffalo and the wagon and all that stuff in it. If I don't forget it, I'll bring it to the next meeting because it's very interesting.
Well, I
But
wanted to thank you for doing that.
But, and he was here a day before we saw him in, DC. But he was here in Baldwin. And he stopped, at the school, he stopped at one of the schoolhouses out here. And the school was closed because it was some kind of a holiday. And so he didn't get to stay, but he told me, yeah, I was in Baldwin yesterday, stopped at the schoolhouse and was gonna go in and visit with the kids.
Oh.
But he said, the schools are closed. But so he went on.
That's sort of his thing.
Huh?
That's his thing.
Yeah, but
He popped into what my Baker class one day and helped me on my political science paper.
But he's, that's the first time I ever met the guy that I'm gonna call. He's right down to earth. Or, well, he's a politician, so.
Yeah, so how do you know?
But anyhow, it was great to see him. If you ever get an opportunity to go up there to Washington and see all that stuff, it's great. I've been disillusioned all my life. I thought the Capitol building was everything, but it's not. It's two buildings. It's two different buildings where everything happens. You know, and the Supreme Court is huge. It's a huge place. And the cemetery, 4 of us put in the wreath, set the wreath at that's Arlington Cemetery. That thing is huge. It's huge.
It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
very
And
simple.
do you remember the football team that all died in the plane crash?
Marshall?
We are Marshall. We went there and saw their memorial and had dinner in the town of Marshall. We had a good trip. We really did.
Good.
Wonderful trip. But Eisenhower has a farm there, just right at the beginning where Gettysburg, where the fight was at, the war was at. That's like 17 miles from Camp David. He didn't go to Camp David. When he took his sabbaticals or whatever it was you take, he would go to his farm. And it shows pictures on his farm where he had Khrushchev. Khrushchev was interested in cattle. And Eisenhower had cattle, so he and Khrushchev were checking out herd, stuff like it's interesting. And Mamie lived there until she died after Eisenhower passed away.
Never been there. I'd like to.
It's great. It's good. It's a good trip.
Next one's yours. He's planning.
We haven't met since the last meeting. And,
Did see the survey announcement went out on Facebook.
yeah, the survey went out, so we should be getting some responses from that soon. I don't think we're going to meet again until Ryan gets some of that information back.
City administrator staff comments, anything further?
Nothing further now.
Any more council comments? Sure.
What's going on with the train?
Still in litigation.
I would recommend you reach out to our
Yeah.
council after.
So, as I say, there are multiple federal and state lawsuits going on right now that are still actively being pursued. We'll be in court again tomorrow, federal court, and give you an update about actual details.
Dental court?
Any other council comments?
I thought there was a deal that was gonna try and bring us back into local courts, no?
There's multiple cases, so, and we're involved in, as third party, as the plaintiff, as respondent, and so there's, depending on the cases, we're in different roles depending on that, so it's all moving parts are, well, there's a lot of moving parts right now, and all cases are active since the last time we talked in the same general posture.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
I'm going to adjourn.
We move to second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes, we're adjourned.